When I was making this, I didn't actually know I was going to be putting it on my own label. I think I definitely have a trademark kind of Samuel sound, as much as I do a lot of warm-up sets at the minute, and also I'm obviously into like my kind of big room progressive like rollers. I also have that kind of wafty signature, yeah, I don't know, trademark Samuel sound. So this is definitely kind of like Inter Arms. There was a lot of that inspiration that went into this track. So what the most important parts of the track are first, because we don't need to know about the kick, the bass and all that. So the D then. So this lead pretty much runs through all of the track. It's the main kind of hook lead element, if you will. It's Diva. It's a preset that I've used on quite a lot of my songs. Quite hypnotic, bit eclectic, kind of mysterious, I guess. A bit like kind of like the detuning's got like a melancholic feel to it. So we then have this kind of like wispy arp, which follows exactly the same notes as the main lead. Again, that's Diva. I use Diva for everything, and that's a Diva preset, I believe, called Dusty. Very nice. So combination of different pads. So when I'm choosing my pads, I basically go for exactly the same kind of feel as when I'm picking the lead sounds. I like it to kind of be hypnotic, a little bit darker, a bit edgy. I think detuning is always going to kind of play a part in that, and having kind of like an analog feel to it kind of makes the listener a little bit uncomfortable. Which is weird because a lot of my tracks are quite emotive, so you kind of get a mixture of emotion, I guess. So all together we have this. So I'll talk about the kick, bass and the drums kind of like all as one, just because, to be honest, I don't think it's the most exciting of tracks when it comes to that. And nothing's particularly different, it's all pretty standard. So the kick, I've started using kick 2. Is it kick 2 or kick 3? I find it quite handy because you can really mess around with the kick. You can definitely thank 4 Candles for that, because this is his advice. And I'm finding it really handy. Like, you know, you can drag kicks in and completely change them, which is actually really handy. Just like if you're shortening the decay, I mean, this thing can go into such depth, like I'm only kind of scratching the surface, but it's a very handy tool. In terms of the bass, it's kind of like a standard Samuels Reese, which basically I use a combination of Reactor, which every single time I load Reactor as a default, it's just way too loud. So if you have this plugin, you'll know exactly what I'm on about. And yeah, the drums just kind of surround it, so all together. Some tracks I think need a vocal, some don't. I like pitching my vocals down, and yeah, kind of putting them through a lot of different processing. I absolutely love Portal by Output, and then sending that through like a massive reverb, and then using that just bounce down to audio, so you can kind of do cool reverses and make it sound really deep and a lot different to the original file that you've used. So it's got its own identity. I tend to like look for like a specific vocalist and then choose ad-libs from there too, from the same person, just so you kind of, when you're using sample packs, obviously it's quite hard to get really original content. So I think for me, if you do find like a really large loop, mess around with the pitch, take different parts of it, and you can kind of then create your own ad-lib or your own kind of like harmony, and I think that's just like a way to keep your own identity whilst still making things cost efficient, because you can't afford a vocalist all the time, sadly, yet. So I won't talk about the transitions. I think that's really specific to kind of like an artist's creativity. So like, I definitely have my set audio files that I'll use, whether it's crashes, whether it's like a white noise hiss or something like that. The one secret I will give away though is ESP. So if you use Logic, I will have it somewhere. Every single song I ever work on has ESP, and ESP is the most basic plugin. It looks like it was made a million years ago, and that's because it was. You can essentially put the white noise up to the full and just use it as just cool. And you know, put that through different reverbs. You can change the ADSR, things like that. And it's just because it looks so ugly, it doesn't really use up any of your CPU. So yeah, if you need white noise, just use it for that. And actually, I use it on a lot of my synths as well. Even if you if you process it right and you layer it correctly, it can come out with some pretty good sounds. Right then. So before we play it all together, my last trick. So I think Eric Prince talked about this in a podcast or something like that. And essentially, when you're making a radio edit, if you just get your extended here, copy it over once you're happy with the extended, like 100% happy with the extended, copy it over, and then just shorten the sides, and then when you're copying over all your automation data, you can literally just copy and paste, and it all follows over, and then if you are changing anything, you can just go, right, if I do it to the extended, I'll also do it to the radio edit. So, bit nerdy, I can't say your everyday listener is going to really care about that, but very, very handy all the same. So I hope you're loving the track, and here we go.